living in the 21st century. They teach us about being a real quarterback-oriented games. We don't have to just use video games and live in the shadows of good things because of them. We grow up with agility far larger and bigger than we are tall. Parents are the champions and have to be our first life coaches and know-it-alls. Who knows how this came to be? Coaches will ask you if you know your right foot from your left, if you know yourself, if you act knowingly good or bad, if you can move and negotiate a field with style and form, if you can tackle or throw a pass, or if your last name is that of a clown. If you can let someone know on the team that you are in trouble before you cause yourself or someone else trouble. If you are ready to learn teamwork or aware that you started out today with your pants down or your sportsmanship was left on the kitchen table. If you know the social studies, the alphabets, science, music, characters, and the stats and the numbers of a great student player eligible to stay on the team. And if you know the poise of great athletic champions and their scientific attitudes that are historical or music to us now, if you have the swag of the game, the discipline, the performance, and artistic form down pat, and if you have the style of gymnastics that the sport has with life, if you have the work ethic and determination to make it all seem easy and not a game at all, if you have the knowledge of all the above, or you don't know things like this even make the difference. I think that when it comes to the importance of parents and their field and self-knowledge, wisdom, virtues, and courage, their teachings, love, respect, care that they illustrate on the field and in the grind of life with their actions and their ideas, experiences, muscle, and strategic magic and skills wrapped around us with their priceless love. For their verbs to be that make us winners in this hard and fast third century that without them, kids and adults, athletes could hardly see or do anything at all. Parents teach us the difference between playing video games and playing on the field. Parents teach us how to be champions. A huge hug should go to parents, coaches, and parent-like community people who have love on the field for you and who are champions for your life, both in and out the games.
Greetings. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you being here. My name is David Mitchell, and I'm the host of Straight from the Source. Listen, coming at you from a new platform. We appreciate you. We'll be here every Wednesday, live, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the next 52 weeks of the year. My guest tonight, without further ado, in January 1 of 2022, she became the one and only first ever in HBCU, historically Black college and universities history, the commissioner of the MEAC conference, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Let's welcome her. We will get into some of her upbringing, what she's doing in terms of business to bring corporations and revenue, monies into the academic programs of these schools, into the athletic programs of these schools, into the administration of these schools. And I'm going to tell you, Looking at her resume, she is phenomenal at what she does. That's why she is the first ever. Without further ado, please welcome to the show, Mrs. Sonja Steels, the commissioner of the MEAC conference.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
Commissioner, it is a pleasure for you to be here. We've been chatting back and forth and everything, and you have just been wonderful. I want to first thank you for taking the time to be here with me. I know your schedule has been off the charts since you started January 22 with this new position.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you, and this is what everyone wants to know. I want this to be inspirational. This is a business platform, and they're allowing me to bring in sports because you think about it today with the name, image, and likeness, it goes hand in hand. You know,
Yes.
It's a business.
Absolutely.
What did it feel like? You've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
What did it feel like, though, when they finally said, you're the commissioner? Take it from there.
Oh, I mean, it was a surreal experience, to, work at the conference for so long. So at that time, it was 19 years. And actually, as of yesterday, I worked for the MEAC for 20 years. And so, going through the interview process and, everybody will always tell you, like, hey, you're going to be the next commissioner and, you've been doing the work, but you never know what the council are thinking of, what they want somebody new, somebody fresh, that type of thing. So I never took it for granted as if it was an automatic type thing. So when I got the call, it was a very surreal, humbling experience. And, I just let go, let God, and look what happened.
Well, congrats on 20 years.
Thank you.
First of all, that happened yesterday. Congrats on 20 years.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit briefly about your upbringing and where you're from.
Oh, I'm a military brat, proud military brat. Grew up mostly in Newport News, Virginia. My dad did 30 years as a sergeant major in the Army. And my family is originally from Florida, Braden and Sarasota area in Florida. So, excuse me. Yeah, so I spent most of my life in the 757 area, Hampton Roads area. Went to Menchville High School, played the violin for all of from 6th grade all the way up through high school. And little known fact, I was in a breaking group in high school.
Okay, breakdancing.
That was it, yes.
Okay.
And then, I went to Old Dominion University, right across the water in Norfolk. And yeah, I almost went to Hampton University, but I didn't want to go to summer school because I was working at Busch Gardens. And so I didn't want to give that up. And so I went to Old Dominion University, got my undergraduate degree in human services counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And then went to grad school at Hampton University. So I got back on over there and got my degree in, my master's in college student work personnel at Hampton. So that's how I kind of rounded. I know nothing sports related. Except I did play one summer of rec softball, and then of course when I got to Hampton I did church softball, so that's about it.
Wow, I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's important for the listeners to know how you grew up. Did you guys and ladies hear that? She played the violin. Obviously, the right side of the brain. She's creative, okay? And that's something different. You did something different. A lot of people don't play the violin. I know me and my wife, we'll put it up on YouTube. They have someone called the Black Violinist.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll play that music and it sounds so soothing and you can do a lot with the violin. I really like it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny because when I was growing up, I heard Lou Rawls' You'll Never Find. And I loved the bass. And I was like, Mommy, I want to play the bass. And she was like, nah, you start off with the violin first. And so that's where it ended up. And I actually played the cello for a couple of years as well. So yeah, one thing about growing up in my house, it was music always going on in the house with my dad, and the old school, the reel to reels, and
Yes. Oh, I remember it all. I'm
you
57.
know the
I
album.
know.
When it's time to clean, the music going to wake you up. You got, hey, let's go. So I've always been surrounded by music, and so it's no different. Sports and music and entertainment, it all kind of goes together.
It sure does. I appreciate you saying that. Now, that leads me. We're on a business show, and we're going to have fun too. We're on a business show.
Okay.
Let me ask you, Commissioner,
Yes.
how is your approach, or can you explain how you're going to actually generate revenue? How do you go about generating revenue for a conference that has 8 schools that you're over? Can you just start right there and tell us how you go about doing that?
Yeah. So one of the key things, in taking over as the commissioner is ensuring the continuity with our current corporate partners. Coca-Cola, I actually, before I took on, I was actually working on the contract for the new Coca-Cola contract that we have currently. And so one of the things that we look towards is making sure that we get with the partners whose missions and goals align. So there's one thing, we don't want to have corporate partners that are just going to drop money just to say they're connected with an HBCU. We want to be able to connect with a corporate partner who wants to leave a lasting legacy. It's something that's going to go on. So for instance, when you look at our esports programs, we started esports during COVID, trying to find a way to connect. And it actually was supposed to be a revenue generation for us, but it changed into more of a trying to be a varsity HBCU esports conference. That's our ultimate goal.
Okay.
And so building on that. So the relationships, you're looking for a corporate partner who wants to help. Don't just drop money or scholarships, because that only is going to affect 1 or 2 people. You want to be able to say, hey, I need help to build an esports lab that can help not only 1 or 2 students, but 10 to 12 to 20 students, helps with recruiting on the campus. And it's something that can go on for years, something to build off of. So that's what we want to look at. We also want to look at corporate partners that want to think outside the box. You want to get past just doing signage. You want to do something that's new and creative. And we also want to look at corporate partners who want to look beyond just the sports side of it. How does it reach into the academic side with internships, that type of thing? We want to be able to connect, not only help with athletics, but beyond athletics, because we know that everybody can't go pro. So what's the other thing that we can bring to the table when we're looking at corporate partners?
Wow. I just want to mention for the listeners, when you mention esports like that, that's phenomenal. I take my hat off to you, because when you think about now these kids that they were just playing these games and different things, and we were like, you need to communicate, get off your phone, get off the game, right?
Right.
Now, if somebody's good, listen, you guys, sort of parents, won't you step back and sort of oversee it in a different way before you discipline those kids, right, Commissioner?
Absolutely. Look, and I'm not saying how old I am, But I was out there when the Atari came, and you're playing, Frogger, Pac-Man, all
Right.
that. So, when you thought back then, you're like, oh, you're just wasting your time. But gaming is a billion-dollar industry.
Wow.
And what people don't understand, I guess parents need to realize is to do the research. It's more than just being in front of a controller. It's more so about how it reaches out with STEM, the coding that goes into gaming, the graphics that go, the music, shoutcasters or broadcasters for the games, event management, overuse or carpal tunnel, athletic trainers, nutritionists, mental health. There's a lot that comes through gaming. And so you just find your niche in that. They need lawyers. The same thing with name, image, and likeness. You need gaming, esports lawyers who understand the business. So there's so much that can go into gaming, and it's not just being behind the controller, because there's only going to be a small group of individuals who are going to make those hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars by playing, but there's so much more behind it.
Wow. Appreciate you sharing that. You still have the relationship with Home Depot?
Yes, they have been a long time partner with our basketball tournament, and we kind of extended it this year, where they are sponsoring our social content team. So one of the things at my vision for the conference is more storytelling, telling the stories of our campus, getting more social content out there so that they can see what our institutions are about, the history behind it. And then, when you're talking about corporate partners, the things that connect us to the community. So Home Depot has blessed us with being able to provide funding to support having individuals from each school provide social content for their school for the MEAC as a whole. So yeah, Home Depot has been a great partner. And of course, everybody's waiting to see who wins, who gets their campus or their dorm room redone by Home Depot. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind, let me just sort of list some of the schools in the MEAC conference for those who may not know or is not as familiar. We have South Carolina State, and this is in no particular order. We have Norfolk State University. We have Howard University, Washington, D.C. We have Coppin State University. We have Delaware State University, Morgan State University, Maryland Eastern Shore, and North Carolina Central. I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. In terms of this, what do you do in your position to bring more exposure? What are you going to do that you haven't done in the past? Or is it that you continue to, well, I know you talk gaming. That's something that, that you're going to really just take over the world with the game. In terms of exposure, is it some plans that you got that you could share with us, and what you do as a commissioner for exposure for the whole MEAC conference?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the things that I was behind was the new branding for the conference. The council allowed us to bring on 160 over 90, which is a part of William Morris agency, WME, to help rebrand. And so with that rebranding came additional opportunities for PR for the conference, widening out again that storytelling, getting the stories out there about what's going on in the conference. So that's a piece of it. We have a long-term relationship with ESPN, a great relationship, and they have been very instrumental of knowing the value of HBCUs. And so they've been instrumental for the exposure on a national platform for not only the MEAC, but the SWAC as well, with the MEAC SWAC Challenge and then with the Celebration Bowl at the end. The other piece to that is looking at, my vision is to get our Olympic sports more on a national platform as well. So one of the things that we just did this spring made history by streaming men's and women's tennis championship for the first time, which is amazing for those student athletes, fans, friends, and family to be able to see them. And so that's what we're looking to do more of. So we're looking to connect with another media broadcasting companies to be able to have our sports on more linear platforms, or what I say, linear cable streaming, but having more access to see the games. Our institutions broadcast or produce their own content, so being able to put that in there. And then currently we are right in the middle of doing our countdown to kickoff show that is broadcast on ESPN Plus each week for the last 3 weeks. And actually we're heading to Delaware this weekend for their homecoming, which countdown to kickoff goes an hour before the game. And it's the pregame show. We got Charlie Neal, James Hill, Nicole Hutchison, and a new young lady, Shakira, and I can't think of her last name right now. Giving them what's going on in the conference and then what is going on in the game that's coming up, predicting and, going out to the tailgate, just enjoying, what HBCU culture has to offer. So we're really, really proud of that. And then the last thing is we're getting ready to do a podcast ourselves and talk about the individuals who, from not only our current members, but from our members who used to be in the conference, but are still MEAC family, and that's part of why we created the MEAC Nation, because everybody is still family. No matter if you're in the CAA or the Big South, it doesn't matter. You're still a part of the MEAC family. You still made an impact. And so we want them to stay connected to the culture.
I appreciate you sharing that. And that relationship with ESPN is wonderful. But what I like about, because we know how big that brand is, Absolutely. But what I like is that it seems you're taking the initiative as commissioner to say, hey, we need our own podcasting. We also need to find other platforms that we can stream on, because I have a business in which I do consulting, and my whole goal is to help young men and women earn athletic scholarships, but I'm pushing towards HBCUs as well as small Christian schools. And, you don't always have to go to the big PWI school. There's other opportunities.
Absolutely.
And I like the fact that you have all these different avenues that you're sprinkling around and that you're looking at. That's really impressive.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, that's one of the things that, dispelling the myths that it doesn't matter where you go. If you go to HBCU, you still can get to the NFL. You still can get to the NBA. You can get to any pro from where you are. If you're good, they're going to find you. And the fact that our games are on national platform, the Celebration Bowls on ABC, so when you look at those opportunities, if you're good, they will find you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned Charlie Neal. And, I'd be remiss if I didn't, I call him Uncle Charlie. I need to call him because he was on my show as well. And he is the voice. I mean, I don't know no other way to put it. He's the voice of all the HBCUs, He's incredible. And with all of his knowledge and everything, I just wanted to make sure, since you mentioned that, I was going to mention him as well. It's just an honor and a privilege to have you here. and
He's
having
a
had,
MEAC Hall of Famer. So,
yes, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's definitely in the fabric of HBCUs, which is wonderful. At the same time as he helps to groom the next, um, women and men coming up to replace him. But yeah, he is definitely part of who we are as HBCUs to tell that story.
Now, when it comes to your position as a commissioner,
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that you meet with a lot of chancellors, a lot of deans, a lot of presidents. Tell us a little bit about what that's like. Not what all's going on in the room, but what's that's like, and some of the things that you guys discuss. I mean, when you get in there, and I'll tell you a little something after you answer that.
Okay. Well, I have 8 bosses, which are the presidents and chancellors of our outstanding athletic and academic institutions. And so we meet, actually, this council is probably one of the best group of individuals because they're very active. They're very engaged in what's going on in athletics. And, having Dr. J, Dr. Adams Gaston from Norfolk State serving on the Division I Transformation Committee, and then representing all HBCUs as the HBCU ex officio member of the board. Then I have Dr. Wilson, who is on the Division I Board of Directors as well. Dr. Akinlay from North Carolina Central, who's on our presidential advisory committee for the NCAA. And then I have Dr. Allen from Delaware State, who is on the presidential advisory for HBCUs so I have so many presidents who are very, very engaged. And so we talk about not only membership expansion, because that's part of things that should be on our forefront, but in the stability of the conference and what we can do to improve, in which they just recently approved in August our strategic and long range plan, so that make sure that our vision is a shared vision as we move forward. But they are very, very hands-on. And look, they can call me at night, in the evening, it's different. But it's good because I think that was one of the things I was nervous about. Is like, oh my gosh, I had one boss. Now I got 8. But because they're so engaged and they believe in the conference and its future, it's very, very easy to work with them. I couldn't have asked for 8 better bosses.
I appreciate you sharing that. Now, here's the backdrop on that.
Okay.
I am really, I know that I believe in paying it forward, and that your ancestors are watching and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. And my uncle, who passed in 2012, his name was Dr. Douglas Covington, and he was the president chancellor at Tuskegee Institute. He was the president at Winston-Salem State University. He was was president or chancellor at Alabama A&M. He was also president or chancellor at Cheney State, Pennsylvania. And then finally, like you, the reason I know he's looking down, he was the first African American president of a predominantly white institution called Radford University here
in Virginia.
That is state-owned.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Douglas Covington.
That is amazing.
He's got Covington Hall at Radford, all his schools over at Winston-Salem State. And
awesome.
I say that because I ended up choosing going to Liberty University and junior college after my basketball career, and I did not go to Winston-Salem State. I feel sometimes I'm like, I have to pay back now. Because when you walk into one of these institutions of higher learning at an HBCU, let's be honest, Commissioner, it's about academics. They tell you right away, you here to learn. It's more of a comfy confine, so to speak. You can get closer to your administrators. I'm from Ohio originally. Ohio State, yeah, it's like so big. Some of the students in my family graduated from there, like my nephew Tom. It's like you may not even you may not even build a relationship with the administration at all. I think it's important to just hint a little bit about how you can come to an historically Black college and HBCU, receive a great education, become someone in life, but yet you still get like a family feel.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, it's the nurturing that you get from an HBCU. So, going to ODU, ODU was my foundation. I had the best time at ODU. But at the time, it was a small number of African American students. So we all knew each other. And the program that I went through was for African American students. So the counselors kept, in touch with me, not the professor. So, it was different. Going to Hampton, working, because also not only did I get there for grad school, but I also was the assistant dean of women. And so when I got over there, and I'm Sonia at ODU, at Hampton, I'm Miss Stills. It's totally different. You have to, and Dean Jewel Long, who taught me the culture of being at an HBCU, the how you dress, take your hat off when you're in the building, men, and that same type of, you're on curfew. Freshman, you're on curfew. Man, at ODU, I had a key to the front door and my room door, so I can come and go as I please. I'm like, curfew, but going through convocation, dressing the part for, getting ready to go for a job. It's the how to present yourself in the world. It's different when you're at an HBCU. No matter what HBCU you go to, it's still family. We still have our rivalries and all that, but you cannot talk bad about an HBCU around another HBCU person. It's a family. And when we stick together, we understand the value that you get at a HBCU. They really care about the whole person. So you get the whole thing. Not just your education, but you get the culture of being an African American in this world at an HBCU.
Wow, I appreciate that. When you see me looking down and moving, just want you to know I'm a big note taker, and your resume this long, so you can't. We won't be able to cover everything in probably 45 minutes to an hour, but I will definitely have you back on the show, God willing.
Appreciate it.
Commissioner, with the NIL, let's speak a little bit about that, please, with the name, image, and likeness. This is something we know with the transfer portal, athletes are just going all over the place now. But I appreciate the fact that these young men and women are now being able to make, an income while playing sport. How do you foresee, or how are you guys dealing with that, or will you be dealing with that, and how in the MEAC, how are you going about attracting, some of these players that'll come in and you say, well, we're going to get them over here with the corporate sponsor, someone that may say, we'll pay you while you're at North Carolina Central or Norfolk State. How have the MEAC, have you had to deal with that, and how do you deal with it?
We're not there yet. We're not, the HBCUs or lower resource institutions aren't there yet. You have we partner with influencer with name, image, and likeness for our institutions. And that's the first step, having the educational piece, the opportunity for them to go through that as a marketplace, for their NLI. And the fact that majority of the individuals, from last I heard, were majority of women are women who are really benefiting from NLI. One of the things that, when I say our presidents and council are very engaged, when name, image, and likeness came about, it was a great concern that it would help make the divide between the haves and have-nots. It becomes a recruiting advantage because there's going to be, I can't remember the institution that called their donors and said, hey, I need $12 million so that I can get all my student athletes name, image, likeness money. We can't do that. That's just not what we have. And then we don't want to get into a situation of pay to play. We can't afford to do that. When we need to focus on getting scholarships for our Olympic sports fully funded, we don't want to have a football player running around, driving around in a Mercedes, and then you got your softball player with nothing. It further makes the class, further apart. And so that's something that we don't want to do. Now, are we going to have to do it eventually? Yeah. But until the federal legislation comes about that kind of regulates everything right now is a wild west. Everybody is trying to do what they can. They have these collectives, so they're able to pay their students, and that our institutions aren't there yet. And it'll be some time before we get there. And my philosophy is, I don't want to get into pay to play, because while I'm paying these student athletes, there's facilities that need to be upgraded, broadcasting equipment, so that we put a good product out on the field. Make sure that we have the right trainers, academic counselors, tutors, and all that stuff. We can give them money, but it's going to lack on the other side. So we have to be very careful about what we do. You get a great value coming to an HBCU. You get a nurturance, education that you won't get anywhere else. So you have to understand the value that it comes with it. So, you're going to get those students who are shopping around for who's going to give them the best NIL deal. We're not going to be able to compete for that right now.
And
will we be able to eventually? Sure.
Absolutely.
But not right now.
And, I had to bring it up because it's all over the place. And I'm going to have a young gentleman coming on my show next week, I believe it is. And, he has an NIL deal. And, and like you say, you have this sport, and it's going to be a lot of people that it's a disparity there. Right. Some people have it, some people don't. But as a commissioner, I know you're going to face it. You know why? Because you got people out here like me. We are really now living in a time where we're more conscious. People are pushing their kids to look at historically Black colleges because you can get that great education. But again, you're putting the players on ESPN now. You're putting them on streaming and different things, and they're getting, if you're good, you're going to get noticed anywhere. But Absolutely. This is the problem. This is the problem, Commissioner. And we have to be quite honest. I'm a transparent person. Whatever they paying you right now to be commissioner, you deserve double. That's a fact. You deserve double your salary. You're hearing it from me right now, straight from the source. You deserve double. And they don't pay the coaches like they do the PWI schools. They Correct. Don't pay the, like you say, here it is, name, image, and likeness. It's the last. It's always the last when it comes to the HBCUs. So what we're doing now is pushing this narrative like, look,
Mhm.
It's going to be like Howard University, for example. They've been recruiting some of these really top 100 players over the last several years,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Mhm.
And the question is, how long can they keep them, right? Because you're
Mhm.
right. They're going to go over here and say, well, I'm going to get paid, right? But it's going to be players eventually to say, I get it. You
Right.
see this commissioner here? I mean, nothing but doing a wonderful job. I love my teachers. I love the atmosphere. I love the
Mhm.
familyness of it.
Yeah.
And it's just inevitable. But I know what you mean. We don't want to make this a pay for play thing. That's the thing I don't like even about AAU basketball,
Mhm.
at the amateur level.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that it's going to work its way out. What's your
Yeah.
opinion? You know that all the coaches, is phenomenal coaches and administrators in HBCU, but
Mhm.
they don't get the opportunities to move up if they wanted to a PWI,
Mhm.
or if they do, it's an assistant coach or a coordinator, or you know what
Yeah.
I mean, or something of that sort.
Yeah.
We just hope and pray that we get to a point where we can be on a level playing field. What is it that you think as a commissioner? Is it that the ADs and the presidents, is it that do they need to just fight harder and harder and harder for this money and where it comes from? Because they have money. Think about when we went through COVID, and they can print money up anytime they want to print money.
Of
That's
course.
what it seems like to me in America. If they decide tomorrow they want to print money, they can print money.
Yes.
You know, why are we lacking so much when we have so much talent in terms of academics and coaching?
Yeah, I think the problem is I think people think that they're not out there. They're there.
Yes.
You're just not stretching out your resources. The NCAA just started a leadership collective that houses resumes of individuals so that people or institutions or companies can't say, I can't find a diverse pool of candidates. They're there. Looking at what the NFL is doing when you have to have X number of individuals within the pool of your candidates. And then recently, I believe like you have to hire a minority in a certain position, if I'm not mistaken. I could be crazy, but they're making a concerted, intentional effort. Institutions have to make an intentional effort to do that. I see that now when I start to see more and more on the women's side of leadership, more and more first female athletic directors,
Yes.
of that starting to make its way. And, I don't know whether, we're in 50th year of Title IX and how people are being more intentional about their hiring practice. Now that's more so on the HBCU side, where we're making those, but on the PWI side, it's still trying to be, you got to be intentional about the hiring because they're there. And nobody wants our HBCU coaches poached, but the talent is there. And so it's that mentoring piece and that opportunity, having that opportunity for these coaches. They're out there, and you see them on TV on ESPN. So let's give them that opportunity to shine.
Delta Sigma Theta.
Oh,
I got a call today.
behind me.
I got a call today. I thought I'd shout that out for you. I got a call today
Okay.
from Dr. Paula Jackson.
Oh wow. Paula, yes.
Hampton University
Yes.
legend,
Yes.
like yourself. Now, this is the thing, right? You mentioned Title IX. I just want to, on air, congratulate you ahead of time. I said, I don't want to reveal. It's not a surprise, David. It's not a surprise. Dr. Jackson told me. She says, it's not a surprise. that you're going to be honored at Hampton University. Can you speak a little bit about going back to Hampton with that great administration you worked with for 4 years over there?
Oh my gosh. You know, it's it's like going back home. You know, Hampton gave me my start. You know, I would not be where I am without not going to Hampton, between the coaches, Coach Taylor, you know, believing in me. You know, my name was already out there with the coaches that I had met being a Delta. You know, the bros, the Qs that I met were football coaches. And what I was doing, academic support as a graduate at ODU, they were like, well, hey, can you come over here and do the same thing over here? So they really got me, my name out there. And that opportunity was there. So look, it's a humbling experience, and you know, I can't wait to go home.
Oh, I know that's going to be a beautiful celebration for you. So I just wanted to make sure that I give you your flowers right now and say congratulations. Now, while we're speaking about HBCU, I just want to I got this little segment here, take a little deep breath on this little segment where I just want to give some shout outs.
Okay.
And go over my HBCU list here. And this, I sort of cut it down because I have more. But one I want to shout out is former head football coach at Texas Southern University. I know he's going to be watching. If not, he's going to be watching later. And that's Johnny Cole. I want to shout Johnny out. Also wanted to shout out his older brother, L.C. Cole, who's at Allen University right now, and it was the winningest tenure ever at Tennessee State at the time. I mean, ever. And now they have Eddie George over there now. Wanted to shout out also Paul Bryant. All of these have been on my show as well. Shout out Paul Bryant, who's athletic director over at Edward Waters College in Jacksonville, Florida. Charlie Neal was on the list. Uncle Charlie definitely was on the show. Wanted to give Uncle Charlie a shout out.
You know, his birthday is on Friday.
Whose birthday?
Charlie Neal.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you told me that. Let me make my note here. If nothing else, if he don't pick up, at least I'll be able to leave him a voice message. I appreciate that, Commissioner.
Yes.
Let him know. Commissioner told me it was your birthday. Also, Dr. Paula Jackson from Hampton University. Want to make sure we give her a shout out. Also, wanted to make sure that we give a shout out to Jim Heath over at Hampton University. He's now, Jim, the SID, to see it, he's now over at ODU.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He's been on the show as well.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give a shout out also to head basketball coach at Winston-Salem State University, Cleo Hill Jr. He's been on the show as well. And this is Commissioner. Everyone that comes on my show, I always go back and we talk and we stay in touch. And I try to say, if it's one person I know I can introduce you to, I'll do it. If it's somebody you could give me to bring back on the show that could be a blessing to others, and you know, I would love that. And so we'll talk about that because I know you know everybody.
Sure.
These are the guests that I'm hoping to get to come.
Okay.
Are you ready for this? Here
Yes.
we go. Well, Dr. Paula Jackson, she confirmed tonight she's coming.
Okay.
Melody Webb.
Oh, awesome. Yes.
Melody Webb, you listening, Miss Webb? I sent you an invite, told you the commissioner was here. Got to have you on the show. Want to give you your flowers while you're here. That's the problem. People wait till people dead and gone, then they want to celebrate them.
That's right.
Mrs. D. Todd.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yes.
Trailblazer right there.
Trailblazer.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Trailblazer. Absolutely. Wanted to shout that out. And then also, I have coming on the show, and I'm just keeping this is a legend that I used to idolize when I was playing ball as a kid.
Okay.
And it's Earl the Pearl Monroe
Oh,
from Winston-Salem State. I should be knowing
oh
here in the next day or
my
two that
gosh.
Pearl's going to make the show.
I wish I had that connection. Wow. Yeah. That
Well,
would
you
be
know, I've had pro coaches on the show, and
Mhm.
I've had Coach Butch Beard on the
Mhm.
show, who won a championship in 1975. They was the original Slash brothers who, when they won it in 75, Rick Berry, Butch
Mhm.
Beard, and those guys, Jamal Wilkes. But Walt Clyde Frazier, he would be coming, but Clyde is working so much at MSG, can't get a loose right now, but that's more so in the future. But definitely, we're going to have Earl the Pearl Monroe coming on. I'm going to make sure that you know all about that. That's going to be a wonderful show.
Please do.
Oh, absolutely. The Pearl is incredible. Now, moving on a little bit here. All right, moving on for you. Tell us about, in terms of when you meet someone and you're getting ready to do business and you go into those corporate offices and things like that.
Mhm.
How do you, how am I trying to put this? How is it that you present? Because what you're trying to do is basically have sponsors, build these brands. You want to get these corporate relationships, but you want them to know that the MEAC, you know, it ain't like we just need a little bit more money. We already good. You know, what's your approach? I guess is what I'm asking. What is your approach? What is your pitch? In sales, they always say you have to have a great pitch. What is it? How do you present yourself in front of these corporations?
Mm-hmm. So basically, you know, we talk about, well, I talk about my vision, what my vision is for the conference. One, I want to hear what their vision, what their goals are, to see whether we match up, because all money is not good money. So you want to make sure that what we are both working on is a good return on investment. It's going to be a win-win on both sides. And we're looking, you know, we're talking about the holistic part again. Not only do we need the money, but where's the educational piece, you know, internships, because that's going to help them, you know, give a diverse pipeline to their organization. Talk about how our missions align with the community. You know, is there something that we're currently doing in the community that we can do together? That's very important. One of the things I think is the secret is for us, if we take the middleman out of it and we're talking directly with the company, not the marketing, they can really hear what our story is, who we are, and the ability to adapt. When you work with, and believe me, I have marketing companies, but when you work with marketing companies, sometimes they can't move or adapt. You know, they have like, okay, we got this category, we got this, that. If you're talking directly to us, we can create an opportunity based on what your mission is, so that we're getting to the same thing, which is most important. You got to have that return on investment, but we want to make sure that it's going to be a win-win on both sides. And we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to give to the conference that helps 8 institutions. So by you going to one institution, you're only helping a certain amount of students. When you go through the conference office, you're hitting 8 institutions with a wide number of alumni, fans, supporters, and students. So that's the key. You know, come through the conference office. We can help you to get your organization, your product, your services to a wider audience.
Got you. So what you saying, when they see Commissioner Sandra Steele's coming, it ain't just about a check. They better be up here, because what's happening is you're building a relationship. And if it doesn't match, you may as well go on to the next meeting, because that way you build that repetition and that reputation. And they say, Mrs. Steels doesn't go for that. We're not going to just be able to cut her a check. We're going to have to put some work in for the MEAC. Right. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, when we look at, which is great, you know, one of the things that we spent months working with Coke before we developed the contract to make sure, like, are we both trying to get at the same thing? And we still, part of that is benchmarks. Are we making these benchmarks? You know, we have to be accountable on both sides. Not only do we have to be accountable, but they have to be accountable to make sure that, hey, are you doing everything that you said that you were going to do? We want to make sure, and that's why we don't say sponsors, we say partners, because we want this to be a long-term partnership. And that's what we've been able to do with ESPN, Jostens, Coke, Nike, the Home Depot, you know, Cricket, you know, those long-time partnerships is what we want. So whatever we can do to adapt and change, you need to be innovative in what the relationship looks like.
Well, I hope everyone listening out there, as we getting close to closing, Commissioner, you know what? She's done this for a long time. So when you're listening to her, you have to understand that not only has she been, everything she's been speaking about, and you business people that are listening out here, is the importance of marketing, you know, the importance of branding, the importance of not just sponsorship, but partnerships, right? And you also mentioned the importance of, you know, academics and things like that. You've covered in your career the whole gamut. I'd be remiss if I did not mention, how much did you happen to learn over those 20 years? And I know a lot of it was under Mr. Dennis Thomas.
Yeah.
What was that relationship like?
Dr. Thomas, look, he's a country boy from Mississippi, so, who is an old football coach, no nonsense, a very smart man, who wants what he wants, the way he wanted, bottom line type of individual, but really took really good care of the staff. You know, we worked really hard. No excuses. He will accept no excuses, but I would not be here without his guidance, his challenge. It's always a challenge. I always said it was never the same job each year. It was always something different. And it's a new challenge if you're willing to take it. You know, I've learned so much. Look, I was never a cheerleader. I was over cheerleader. You know, I never did events. I did events, you know, and esports. You know, I played it, but you know, that type of thing of being around somebody who does accountability holds you accountable, but it gives you that opportunity to learn and grow. And I'm very thankful for that.
Listen, appreciate you sharing. Listen, everyone, don't forget to like and subscribe to us. You know, this network here, we're Black Business Network. Like and subscribe. We're also on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're hitting all of the different stations and platforms out here. Just want to make sure that you do that. Also, wanted to mention real quickly before we go that what was it that I had there that I wanted to mention? It was something else, Doctor. Hold on 1 second. I got notes all over the place here for you. There's one other. Oh, I'd be remiss too if I did not mention. He probably don't want me to mention this, but it's a North Carolina Central graduate, Eric Kelly, by the name of Dr. Eric Kelly.
Dr. Eric Kelly. Okay.
Dr. Eric Kelly. And I had to mention that because we're talking about the MEAC, and the North Carolina Central University is in there. Want to give a shout out to Coach Lavelle Moten and what he's doing over there at the basketball team at North Carolina Central. Coach Robert Jones at Norfolk State, what he's doing over there. I'm going to be having, Coach God willing, that's on my to-do list. But Coach Buck Joyner from Hampton
Oh
University
my
as well.
goodness. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so a lot of fun stuff coming up. You guys continue to tune in to the show. Commissioner, is it anything that you want to plug or anything that you want to say? Or is anything you do in your private life that you just want to share with us for fun? Your favorite food, your favorite travel? Oh,
This is my
hey,
fur baby, Cashmere Bob.
hey, Cashmere Bob.
Yeah, but one thing I want to say is to join the MEAC Nation, be a part of what we got going on, help raise money for our institutions, scholarships, help with improvement with facilities. Look, let's party with the purpose. Our first big event will be at the Celebration Bowl. We're having a MEAC Nation Day Party. Stay tuned. You can join the nation by going to meacsports.com and join. We have tiers, but look, just let's stay connected and let's support our MEAC institutions.
Oh, I appreciate you so much. Listen, it's been a privilege and an honor to have the queen here of the MEAC conference, first ever, ladies and gentlemen, in the history of America. I know I'm blessed. I just know I'm blessed to have you right here, right now, today. Appreciate you being on the show, Commissioner. We know we'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you so much. You be blessed, y'all. Listen, MEAC family, you know I'm a part of it. You guys become a part of it, and let's support our institutions. Is there some way before you go? How would one, if they wanted to donate, how would one give some money to the MEAC?
Sure, they can contact me. We actually created a MEAC Foundation for our institutions. So yeah, all you need to do is contact my office, or you can join the nation and go that route, which is most important. But we definitely would love your support. Look, we love to tell the story about what you've done to contribute to the MEAC. So yeah, I'll take all the money.
Well, I tell you what, you definitely gonna have something coming from me and my wife. I want to mention her, Dr. Linda Mitchell. You know, we have the Sweetheart Mitchell collection. I didn't get into that, but I'm going to mention that to you. It's a health and wellness business, and we have minerals. And I think once these athletes get a hold of these minerals, are you familiar with sea moss?
Yes, absolutely.
Listen, if the coaches started having their athletes, male and female, start taking sea moss, it's going to change the game, because all we learned in school was about vitamin supplements, which you only retain 3% of those. But minerals, you have to have them. And minerals, you can take it at any age, and it helps with inflammation and pain. It helps with heart health, cardio health, cholesterol, lowers your blood pressure. It gives you more energy, and it just takes away brain fog and things, and cold pressed juices and things. Once these athletes get a hold of this philosophy, I think it's going to change the game. We're going to see some team out there one day, and they're going to say, why are they doing all this? They playing off of that sea moss, okay?
Oh my gosh! Well, love for you to have be a vendor at the basketball tournament. I think it's a great opportunity to get out to our fans and our supporters about your company. So yeah, please look into coming to the basketball tournament to be a vendor.
I sure will. We'll talk about that later. I appreciate you. I just wanted to make sure I share that. And listen, y'all support the MEAC. And I'm going to tell you, it's been a blessing. You take care, Commissioner, and God bless you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.